All right, we will call this Winnebago County Board of Adjustment. The regular session for March 9th, 2023 to order. Is there any old business?
First will move the approval of minutes from February 2nd, deliberative, and February 23rd, viewing all in 2023.
Second. We've got a motion made second to approve the minutes from the meeting of February 2nd, 2023.
I'd like to make a comment for the record.
Oh, okay.
It bothers me that these minutes are as spare as they are. We go through a lot of convolutions to get through the findings and specifying conditions and such, and they don't show up in these. I presume that if we ever go to court on an issue that it is the recordings that are important to
Recording in the
court.
transcript.
That is the reason the court reporter is there, and keep in mind. The individual running the meeting is doing double duty. They're answering questions. We can't possibly take down every single minutia that gets discussed. That's what the court reporter is for, and now with Zoom, that's what Zoom is for as well, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, the court reporter would cover all our bases.
Yes.
Basically. All right, there's been a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from the meetings of February 2nd, 2023 and February 23rd, 2023. Just to be noted on the sheet that was sent out, that says February 2022, but it's 23. So
Right, thank you.
what was I? Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Motion carries. All right, first one on the agenda today is the variance request at 8641 River Lane in the town of Wolf River. Looking at shore yard and street yard and floodplain. Setback changes. As we probably stated, or just we were talking about at an earlier date, I think one thing I'd like to, propose is not having a variance for the street yard for the shore or for the floodplain requirement. Because they have, they can move the house, the proposed building back to the south.
Yeah.
Which is really not gonna make that much difference because it's really not what we call like a normal waterway, it's just that ditch. That way it could eliminate one of the variance requests.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was hoping to push it back. And whether they have to redesign the house, well, I think the house wasn't even designed.
They were just looking
Yeah.
for basically I
Right.
think a footprint.
Yeah.
An allowable footprint to build in.
How much further back will it have to go?
Well, they're
3
proposing
feet,
12
yeah.
feet, and if we went 3 feet,
Okay.
for the 15. And Dan, what is the required square footage for a house?
So it's gotta be at least 20 feet wide,
At least 20, what is the minimum square footage?
1,000 square
1,000,
feet.
so
Yeah.
it'd be 20 by 50, which they have plenty of room to expand
Yes,
to the east. As far as any, setbacks, floodplain.
yeah, I'm
That's all.
not sure, I'd be maybe hesitant moving it towards the water more than it already is, as it's already at 3104 feet. But that's up to you guys.
Well, I guess my thought was, because of the concern from the neighbors across the street, that if we give a little more room for drainage
Yeah, I mean,
towards
that's,
the
yeah.
north, it might alleviate a little bit of that
Yeah, yeah.
concern.
Yeah,
And I don't know if we can, can we require that the property would have gutters and downspouts? As a
Sure.
condition that would have to be all directed towards the south,
sure,
just
That's-
that, again, that
yeah,
would take any
that's-
drainage off the roof.
yeah,
Take it towards the drainage ditch and towards the marsh to the south.
yeah, if that's the pleasure of the board, yeah.
I mean, that would definitely, I understand the concerns, the residents' concerns across the road,
Yeah,
but I think
I'm not sure if you'd have to go to that great length, because the erosion control is already gonna look at that.
they would take care of that
Yeah.
as far as any swales or
Yeah.
anything to go.
They're
Okay.
gonna make sure that they're not flooding out neighbors, so.
I've been down there when it's been flooded, and the flooding comes
yeah.
from a river, it doesn't
Yeah.
come from
Yeah.
neighboring properties. There's no doubt about that,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
these people, I don't know, I didn't look at the flood maps or the flood, but I think most of these properties to the north of this road are probably in floodway.
Yeah.
Versus floodplain.
Yep. Yep, they are.
You know, so I mean, it's a big difference there, and I understand their concern, but. You know, I guess, we'll do what we can do as far as drainage plan goes, so you
Mhm.
guys will do that, take care of that, and I think that if we just. You know, change their proposed setback from 12 to 15 feet on that north side, that would probably. You know, give them a little more peace of mind, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you're gonna have fill.
Yeah,
So Whether
absolutely.
you're gonna have fill up to the line,
Absolutely.
one at 12 feet or fill at 15 feet, that's,
Yeah,
I don't know if it will change anything.
well,
On that
just give them a
aspect.
little more. Slope, basically,
Yeah, yeah.
but again,
yeah,
you guys would take care of that.
Yep, that would be taken care of regardless,
Yeah,
so,
I mean, and I don't see it in my mind, I don't see a big difference between 31 feet versus 28 feet to the south. Cause that really is pretty, yes,
Well, I think they would have enough room in the design of the house to accommodate that 3 feet, I think. They're looking for what, 30,
24 feet
so
wide.
you'd have a
24.
21-foot house. 21 instead of 24 wide.
well, I guess that's what it would come down to.
Yeah, that'd be pretty narrow.
Yeah,
I know it's required, it's only 20, but
I mean, I agree with you. I think switching it or moving the house toward that. Wetland, that drainage way in the back isn't gonna matter that much.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
As flat as that whole area is and as wet as it is. You start to move the water south. But it's gonna go east and west and come around anyway into that, along the roadway. I don't see that anything we do is gonna prevent the neighbors from getting wet, even if erosion control is perfect.
I think the neighbors on the other side of the road are gonna get wet regardless. I would
Yes,
agree, but I don't
that's
think
my
this
point.
property will affect those properties,
Right.
having a roadway between them. I find that hard to believe.
What
just
is
from
the,
staff?
what is the elevation here as far as floodplain goes? What would they have to fill? How high? From what the
So they'll
existing-
need to be 2 feet above. I'm
Oh.
not sure what they're at right now. It looks like
I didn't see anything.
they've
on
got a
there.
750 that comes through.
I see 749 back there. 748, so it's gotta be.
They're
what's-
not, I mean, they're not far off of.
I see 749 on and 748 on the lot there to the. Southeast of the.
I believe
house.
floodplain there is around 750.
That is the floodplain. It's
I
750?
believe around in that area, it's 750 something,
751.
yeah, cause it's ranked by river section
Okay,
up there, so it. It's subject to change. Depending on where you are in the actual river itself.
oh, okay. I see in the middle there, right, in, you know, right between the shed and the house is at 750. So they're probably looking at maybe. You know, 2 to,
You're looking at 2
2 to 3
2
feet.
plus feet on top of that.
Yeah, okay. So it wouldn't be a huge,
No, I
I mean,
mean,
as far as the elevation goes,
Yeah.
the slope goes, it wouldn't be a huge slope or elevation they'd have to contend with, so it would be a huge runoff. And again, you know, you take care of that with your
yeah, with the erosion
drainage plan,
control,
erosion
yeah.
plan. Anybody have any thoughts on that shed?
Uh,
Can we require it to disappear?
Well, they, you know, if they had to fill. You know, which they'd have to fill on that east side, you know, 15 feet, it'd be around that shed,
Yeah, they're gonna have to move the shed regardless.
So we
That would
could-
be a county condition that we,
and that shed's pretty old.
yeah,
Looks,
yeah. That would be in the area unless they were to take it off and build it in the same footprint after they. Put the fill down,
well, they could do that,
yeah,
but I mean,
That's their
we could.
option.
Have the one requirement to remove the shed.
yeah, you could
period,
have. a
and then
requirement
after
to-
that, they could do whatever they wanted to.
Yep.
Based on permits,
Yep,
so otherwise they'd be filling right around that shed with 15 feet.
yeah, they're also
Should
gonna have
be.
to be 10 feet from that shed anyways with the new house, so I'm imagining
Yeah.
the shed's just gonna be removed,
Yeah, we can make that a requirement.
so.
Mr. Margaret's comments about rules are rules. And they shouldn't be allowed to have a variance got to me at first because of his passion, got to thinking, if we take that at face value, this board doesn't have to exist because you never issue a variance. And then I was thinking, there really is a difference between that floodplain and floodway. So this is a different situation than they're facing. So
Correct.
just because we would give a variance here doesn't mean that they automatically should be applying right away and expect to get something. Then I was thinking too, I thought I heard somewhere that every existing lot should have a right to have a building, a home on it. And if that's true, then that home should be livable, and I don't know that the existing space is livable.
You want to start now?
Yeah.
Not the way it
It
is.
didn't look like.
No.
So in that case, they have a right to replace it, and they can't replace it under current conditions. So in my mind, a variance is necessary. Whether it's the variance is requested, or as we were discussing earlier, that's up for debate. But I think approving some sort of variance here is the right way to go.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, too, I thought about his comments quite a bit after he said them.
Well, I'd go either way on this as far as the 12 feet versus the 15. Just like I said, the big picture doesn't make that much difference, and with the erosion control permits, they'd have to, have erosion go towards the south for the most part anyways. Yeah. So, but I was just trying to eliminate one more variance so we could do that. Not that it matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference, I guess. So whatever you guys prefer is fine with me.
One of the reasons for road setbacks is for the ability to expand a road if you ever need to in the future. I don't see this road expanding. So I'm not hung up on whether it's 12 or 15, but in terms of moving the water back, the 15 probably is useful.
Yeah, that would be the reason.
And I think the only reason they set it at 12 is obviously because the overhead power lines.
Right.
Otherwise, they would have probably set it much closer to that front property line, because they're trying to keep that buffer between the ordinary high and their house. And we recommended that they do that,
That they went to 12.
that they stayed as far away as possible from the ordinary high.
Okay, right.
For what reason? I'm just curious.
That's the reason from the DNR. They
Yeah,
usually
okay,
tell us to
all right.
push us from,
All right,
yeah,
more of a water quality
alleviate
and,
that,
yeah, okay.
And when the town of Wolf River, they approved it with conditions, what were the conditions they approved it with? Was just for the drainage issue, I would assume.
should be on the staff report that I can find. Conditions were make sure drainage flows away from the road and back to the existing ditch behind the proposed new home.
Okay. Which he wouldn't do anyway, so.
Yeah.
And there is nothing.
Because there is no ditch there in the front.
No, no.
It's just a.
The actual road is. The right of way is further than the road is right now, correct? I mean, wider than the road, existing road,
Yeah,
where it looks. I think
475.
based on where the survey markers were out there too, I think it was. Ways away from the
Yeah,
road, the
I
actual
can't-
pavement.
I can't speak to that. It looks like 2475 feet on each side of the road, but then
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the road is.
yeah.
Similar to, if not more.
Mhm. I guess. One question I had, they talked about, and then they don't have a exact plan to build this house, but if they put in a garage on there. That 12 feet, would that be enough? If they had a garage facing the road, the the door facing the road. 12 feet would not be enough to park the car in without being in the right of way, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. If you're going straight,
If you're
straight
going,
on.
yeah, and realistically, I mean, if even without going straight off, you can't depend, well,
Unless
unless it
they
came from the
angle
other
it.
side of the house and.
Yeah, they
angle
can
it.
angle it on the lot line. Yeah.
Would that be something that would be addressed during the permit process?
Yeah, I mean, we have approved variances in the past that have had that type of short distance.
We have, I remember in the past, we
Yeah,
made them turn,
it made them turn
so
around.
they
yeah.
gotta come in,
Which you're,
and that's something that you guys would address through the.
yeah,
permit
through the
process.
permit.
Okay.
It
so we
depends
don't-
where the town accesses.
You're right.
You know, they can't fill over the lot line.
Right.
It's a driveway for the town.
Right, yeah, right, they can't fill into the. right of way.
Yeah, unless it's for the town, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm not sure if I asked this before, but is there an absolute minimum setback from the ordinary high water mark? Or with a variance, you could go as close as what we would
Go as
allow?
Close as you'd like.
Okay.
We always recommend 35 feet because that's the absolute minimum that it takes for rebuilding purposes in some cases.
Yeah,
I think since I've been on board, we haven't done anything less than 50.
yeah, that was what I thought the
Well,
number
no.
was, but
I mean, there have been a few.
we have,
yeah, I guess there has.
35 maybe, I think we
well,
did one on 35 feet quite a while ago.
yeah, I mean, this is before your time, I remember that one, I don't know if you were here to Tommy, that we did the one on County A over by in the town of Nina. Right where those properties are like right there, and I know that was less than
Yeah.
35 feet.
I believe
Long time
that
ago.
the utility shed up in Nina that we did, I believe that was less than 35.
Right, yeah,
Or very close.
well, because that ditch was.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
ditch was navigable. Yeah,
Yeah, this is kind of the same scenario.
yeah.
I guess that's the problem I have is how narrow to make this. I agree with the 15 foot from the road, not giving that variance and just making them go 15 feet. But how much to give them on that back end as far as designing the house? I don't know that we need to move it 3 feet just because you can take 3 feet off the road. You know, I would think 30 would be off the,
Well, yeah, you know,
without trying to design a house for them, you know, and that's,
well, you, on your proposal, the 31 feet comes from the. Basically the east half of the house, which is
Right.
why, so they still have the 24 feet. You know, on that west edge.
right,
See, and this probably looks to me like maybe what 27 feet or whatever it was on a 30 feet, I guess it's 30, so they still would have ample room to build.
yeah,
Yeah, if we
on
did
the
it,
other, you're right,
you know what I mean, if we did that, I think we should get up to 31. Or even reduce the. Because that wouldn't affect the 24 feet of the minimum of the house. If you move it
right,
up.
it wouldn't, you could still get one in there,
Mhm.
but then the request for 31 feet doesn't, it's like, where'd that number come from? It just. I don't know,
Yeah, if the house isn't designed yet, that's kind of an odd number.
yeah, it is, exactly,
Well, I think that has to do with the width of the lot. You know, because Bill can't try to keep a minimum of 24 feet on the small side of the house. You know, on the narrow end of the house,
Mhm.
and then they do have an extension out there, you know, on part of it, which again, I guess it's 6 feet, so that could be changed, and we're just looking at improving a footprint.
Mhm.
So depending on. You know, what they're looking at building, that could be. Anything,
Yeah, you're just looking at the buildable area that you're
Yeah.
gonna box in with your
Yeah.
setbacks.
so,
Or
right,
variance.
so we're just looking at, yeah, so we could. Not being concerned what they have on here, just say this is what the buildable area is gonna be, and that's it.
Yes, you could.
Basically, if we're looking at. Changing it, we'd be. Basically, it's just only changing the street yard setback from 12 to 15 feet and with the. Floodplain fill, that wouldn't change, that wouldn't matter, so it'd just be the short, the short yard and the street yard. The short yard could remain at 31 and the street yard could be at 15.
Yeah. That's the one that makes the most sense, I guess. Okay, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we don't approve the street yard setback. And that we'd approve a shore yard setback of 31 feet.
So. Motion is don't approve a street yard. Or a floodplain?
No, that'd be automatic. Oh, no, you have to, Tom. What does?
You still need a
because
street yard if you're gonna
it's
do
not enough.
15 feet.
It's not enough, yeah, in the street requirement is 30 feet.
Oh,
So-
yeah, okay,
so
yeah.
basically
I'm
just
just the
changing it.
floodplain, you're right.
It has
Yeah.
to be changed
So
from 12
maybe
to
run through the
15.
motion there and then go back and.
Okay,
Well, I don't think.
Unless he's not
I don't
done.
think, like last time we did this thing, yeah,
Yeah.
mess it up a little bit. So, yeah, I think but instead of saying we're not denying a request, we just
Just
make a
modify.
motion to modify,
Yeah.
just make our own motion, basically, is
Yes.
that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
You know, not go through a denial.
Yeah, I
all that
agree.
kind of stuff, 'cause, you know,
Okay,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go through the whole motion again?
yes,
By the time what
Your
you want to
final-
do is approve a 31.04 shore yard setback and a 15-foot street yard setback,
and this is a 31 or 3104?
31.04 like you
Okay,
requested,
like the request.
right?
That's exactly right.
They think that motion.
So do we have a complete motion?
Well, Tom, you know, why don't you restate your motions, Tom V.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a 31.04 foot shore yard setback. To approve a 15-foot street yard setback. And not approve a reduced floodplain fill request, which you wouldn't need if we do that.
Yep, okay.
Two shall seconds.
Is the motion made seconded to approve a shore yard setback of 31.0 feet. A street yard setback of 15 feet.
Were the county conditions part of that motion?
Yeah, we'd have to
They
add
want-
conditions to that, which you want. Which they stated along with removal of the shed. As a condition.
Yes, removal of the shed is a condition of the, and assuming that the
You got that, we want to read that there, it's kind of blurry, but. Read that under the record too, as far as part of the motion.
and conditions that drainage flows away from the road and back to the existing ditch behind the proposed new house. And the removal of the shed.
And then the county conditions.
And the county condition. All applicable sanitary zoning and erosion control permits shall be submitted to the county before construction begins. All construction shall meet the floodplain requirements stated in chapter 26 of the floodplain zoning code.
The seconder concurs.
You need to get back to those answers.
So the motion is to approve a 31.04 foot shore yard setback. To approve a 15-foot street yard setback, which alleviates no floodplain fill. And then the. Conditions are to remove the existing shed. And that the drainage flows away from the road and back towards the ordinary high southern part of the property with all county conditions.
Right. Findings for approval. You have those comments?
I do.
Okay.
Findings for approval. So you read in all the.
Just, can you just read the criteria 1, criteria 2 instead of reading it all on the record or? Read the whole thing.
I would read the whole thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Criteria and advisory findings, chapter 23.7 through 234, basis of decision. Required for all chapter 23 town and county zoning code, chapter 26 floodplain zoning code, and chapter 27 shoreland zoning code variances. Number 1. Findings for approval. There is. So just read the finding or the whole. The requirement.
Read the requirement too.
Yeah. Read the whole.
The requirement in question would unreasonably prevent the property owner from using the property for a permitted purpose and would render conformity with such requirements unnecessarily burdensome, and such circumstances were not self-created. Findings for approval. There is no complaint location, no compliant location to build a single-family dwelling that will meet the shore yard and street setback requirements. Criteria 2, the subject property has unique physical characteristics or limitations that prevent the property from being developed in compliance with the requirement in question. Finding for approval. The applicant's property has shore yard and street yard setbacks which cover the entire property. Criteria 3, the granting of the variance will not be contrary to or harm the public interest given the general purposes of the zoning regulations and the specific purposes of the requirement in question. Findings for approval. The proposed single-family dwelling is similar to the existing pattern of development in the surrounding area, so public interest will not be harmed. Chapter 26.6 through 7A criteria.
So as for this one, this is only due to the floodplain. So I don't know how you guys want to handle this. If you want to say that we don't have this finding anymore because the floodplain has now been. You don't even need to include it.
Sure.
So you can just hop to the next one, which is the shoreline.
Chapter 27.6 through 8. Generally required for all chapter 27 shoreline zoning code variances. Criteria, the variance is consistent with the purpose of the shoreline zoning code. Finding for approval, the request allows reasonable use of the property and is similar to neighboring development. Based on the above findings, it is the opinion of the board that all criteria of Article 7, Division 12, Section 23.7 through 234, Town and County Zoning Code have been met.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded with conditions and findings. All in favor of the motion, signal. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll go roll call vote. Tom B.
Aye.
Tom T.
Aye.
Greg. Aye. Motion carries with approval and conditions. All right, then we have a request for an variance extension on the property at 9251 Willow Lane in Wolf River. I believe we were told that the variance that was granted it had expired on October 7th, 2022. Requesting a variance extension, which would entail basically just getting all the necessary permits in line so we can construct what they wanted to build on the property.
Crucial moves a 6-month extension from date of expiration.
I'll second. The motion made seconded to approve a 6-month extension from the October 7th deadline of the request of the variance 9251 Willow Lane, the town of Wolf River. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Any other business to bring before us today?
I believe so.
Crucial moves adjournment.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn the deliberative session for March 9th, 2023. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.